Welcome to this Rugby Obsession deep dive. Today we're plunging into the really remarkable journey of Springbok second row, Eben Etzebeth. We're going to look at some sources that show how even, the absolute top athletes face these grueling setbacks. And maybe, more importantly, how they manage to navigate them, not just with positivity, but with a really strategic way of thinking. Our mission here, for you, is to pull out some maybe surprising insights into resilience from this intense world of elite rugby. And hey, if you find yourself getting into this and wanting more deep content and chats about rugby, make sure you hit subscribe to Rugby Obsession right now.
Yeah, it's a really compelling story. Our main source today is this fascinating article. It goes into Etzebeth's recent injury struggles, but also includes his own thoughts, his personal reflections on how he got through it all. And what's really interesting when you dig into it, it's not just about the huge physical recovery needed, for an athlete like him. It's maybe even more about the mental strength, the mindset he needed to push through such a tough time.
When you say immense mental fortitude, that really hits home, especially for someone like Eben Etzebeth. I mean, for anyone listening who might not follow rugby super closely, we're talking about a genuine behemoth, a giant in the Springbok second row. That position demands incredible power, physicality in the scrum, winning the ball in the line out. He's key. And he's not just any player. He's actually the most capped Springbok ever.
Yeah.
You'd think someone with that status, that physique, would be almost, bulletproof. But even for him, this recent injury run, as he put it himself, it's been not ideal.
Not ideal. Might be putting it mildly, actually.
Yeah.
Since late 2024, Etzebeth faced just a relentless series of physical issues. It kicked off back in December with a head injury, concussion, yeah. Got it during a Champions Cup game against Exeter Chiefs. Anyone who follows rugby knows concussion protocols are really strict now, and rightly so. It meant several months on the sidelines. It's not just time off. It's a very careful, medically supervised process. Good for his long-term health, obviously, but incredibly frustrating for a competitor like him.
Right. And just when you think, okay, he's cleared that massive hurdle, he's ready to come back, the injury curse, as the source puts it, just seemed to pile on. You're thinking, great, he's back.
But then...
Exactly. His first attempt at a comeback after the head injury got delayed. Hamstring strain this time. Just think about that for a sec. You've been out for months, followed all the rules, you're desperate to play, and then bang, something completely different goes. It's just setback, layered on setback. Test the body, sure, but maybe the spirit even more.
And it really didn't stop there, did it? I remember reading about it thinking it just seemed like one thing after another trying to get back on the pitch.
No, genuinely didn't. He was actually named to play for the Sharks, his club team, against Edinburgh in the URC, that's the big cross-hemisphere league, but then illness. Nothing to do with rugby injuries, just got sick, had to miss their round 16 match against Ulster. So you're almost there, training, seeing the finish line, and then you get knocked down by something else entirely. It's almost cruel, isn't it? That's just brutal. Honestly, you'd think any other player might just be thinking, okay, what is going on here? Is this some kind of joke? But he did get back eventually, right? There must have been some light.
He did, thankfully. He got back on the field for the Sharks' very next URC game against the Ospreys. However, just 30 minutes into that game, he had to go off again. Knee injury this time. Now, a slight bit of good news here. The source said it was not too serious. But still, for someone trying to find form, find confidence, another interruption, another early exit, it just adds to that mental burden,
And even after all that.
Yeah.
Just when you think, okay, maybe he's finally getting some game time, getting into a rhythm, the injury curse struck again. That's how the source put it. This was right before a huge match, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Right on the eve of the URC semifinal. Against the Bulls in Pretoria, massive game for the Sharks. He had to withdraw from the squad, took a knock in training. So after everything, the concussion, the hamstring, the illness, the knee thing, he gets ruled out of the semifinal because of something in practice. If you sort of step back and look at the bigger picture, for an elite athlete like him, whose whole life revolves around performing, to go through that relentless string of different setbacks, all stopping him from doing what he loves, you can only imagine the mental toll. It's not just the physical pain. It's the frustration, the doubt creeping in, losing momentum. It's huge.
It really makes you stop and think, doesn't it? For us listening, whether we play sports or not, just put yourself in that position. Getting injured once, fine. Twice, okay. But setback after setback like that, each one stopping you. That truly was a gauntlet. And yet this is where his story gets really interesting, I think. This gauntlet, as you called it, somehow became the trigger for a pretty amazing shift in how he thought about it all.
Precisely. And it raises that big question. How do you stay sane? How do you stay motivated through something like that? And that's where Etzebeth's approach is just, well, it's like a masterclass. He actually says, his philosophy is, I try to look at things in life in a positive manner. But the source shows it's not just wishful thinking, it's an active choice, a conscious strategic decision to reframe things.
Right, this is the bit that fascinated me. Finding the positives when you're stuck on the sidelines for so long, watching your team, that sounds incredibly hard, almost impossible. But Etzebeth actually found some pretty remarkable upsides. First one, and it seems odd for an athlete, was physical recovery. He realized his body actually got some proper rest, got a bit fresher.
Yeah, and that's a really crucial point, especially for a second rower like him, constantly in those huge collisions. He contrasts it with the usual grind, the week in, week out playing where, as he says, players get bruised up, you get battered, and you only really recover on a Tuesday before it starts again. The demands mean real, deep recovery just doesn't happen often. So this forced break, as unwelcome as it was, let his body heal and refresh in a way it just couldn't during a normal season, like a forced, deep preseason almost.
And it wasn't only about the physical side. He mentioned something else I think a lot of us can probably relate to. Getting valuable time off for the family. For these top athletes, their schedules are just relentless. Training, travel, games, finding real quality family time is tough. So this downtime, however it happened, gave him that chance. It shifted his focus a bit beyond just the pitch.
Indeed. But it wasn't just passive rest or family time either. This is where that active strategic part comes in. He used the time for really targeted rehab. He turned downtime into strategic development time. He specifically mentioned having the chance to work on a shoulder that's been niggling for a while and get that up to speed back to full strength. So it wasn't just about recovering from the latest injury. It was about fixing those underlying chronic things you often just play through. He could let his whole body recover nicely and get your whole body strong again. He basically used this forced break to come back potentially stronger, more balanced than before.
So if we kind of tie this all together, what we're seeing is Etzebeth turning what could have been just a negative, frustrating time, a period of just being out into a chance for real holistic recovery, not just physically by sorting out old injuries, but mentally too, by consciously looking for those unexpected upsides. It really makes you think, what stands out to you from Etzebeth's approach, how he coped? We'd genuinely love to hear your thoughts on this. And speaking of strategies, don't forget to subscribe to Rugby Obsession to keep diving deep into the world of rugby and getting insights like these.
And this active, positive mindset, it clearly worked. Despite all those hurdles, that frustrating chain of injuries, Etzebeth did make a strong return. And it wasn't just a quiet comeback either. It was pretty impactful.
Well, absolutely. We saw him return for the Sharks in their final league match of the URC season against the Scarlets. And he didn't just play. He immediately stepped back into that leadership role, leading the team in their vital quarterfinal victory over Munster in Durban. That's not just back playing. That's back leading, back performing under pressure, winning big games. It suggests that strategic development time really did pay off. Did the source hint at all if that forced rest maybe refined his game, or perhaps even boosted his mental game for those big moments?
It definitely implies that, yeah. The article suggests this period wasn't a career stall. It was more like a unique kind of preseason for him. He didn't just heal physically. He could train differently, maybe smarter, fix those little imbalances. So he returned not just physically strong, but maybe with a renewed focus, maybe even tougher mentally. He says quite clearly now, I've recovered from everything. That's all in the past. He's not dwelling on it. He is fully back in training and, crucially, very excited for the Springbok season ahead. It feels like a complete reset, physically and mentally. It's a powerful example of turning tough times into a launchpad.
It's genuinely inspiring, isn't it? His whole story really highlights the incredible resilience of these top athletes, and maybe more broadly, just the human spirit's ability to bounce back. Often stronger, more determined, definitely wiser. He took this awful run of luck and somehow actively used it to his advantage. Prepared himself for what was next instead of letting it beat him.
It really is a powerful lesson in reframing things, isn't it? So the key question for all of us maybe is, how can we apply that? How can we consciously use Etzebeth's approach, finding that strategic development time in forced breaks, looking at setbacks in a positive manner in our own lives, whether it's work or personal challenges? How do we turn those frustrating moments into times for unexpected growth and preparation instead of just, grinding through them?
That's a really powerful thought to leave you with. If you enjoyed this Rugby Obsession deep dive, please make sure you subscribe to Rugby Obsession so you don't miss any of our future explorations into rugby and beyond. Thank you so much for listening to this Rugby Obsession deep dive. We look forward to you listening to our next episode.